and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you guys are new here. In today's video, as you guys can see by the title, we'll be talking about my top 10. I think I picked 11, but whatever. I'll be talking about my unique perfumes in my collection, and this video was inspired after my friend Menahel, also known on here and on Instagram as the Perfume Realm. I'll be linking her video down below so you guys can check her out. I also have done a collaboration with her in the past, so I'll also link that video down below and all her Instagram details and stuff like that. So she basically just told us, pick unique perfumes in your collection, and that's pretty much what I have for you. All right, before I start, I guess that I should take a moment at least to discuss a little bit of what uniqueness means to me, because I know the term itself is pretty controversial, whatever. So within the fragrances that I picked, some of them are fragrances that you probably have never heard of, some of them are fragrances that you have heard of, and some of them are popular, some of them are not popular, whatever the case might be. Point is, to me, I don't consider popularity and uniqueness to be, one, to be synonymous, and two, to be interchangeable. And most of all, I don't consider them at all to be correlated, because personally I believe, and I stand to this, that just because something is popular, it does not mean that it's not unique, and I don't think that popularity minimizes uniqueness. To be quite frank, around me I don't even smell popular, quote-unquote popular perfumes. Most of all, what I smell around me are really like body mist, regular random TJ Maxx perfumes, and when I do smell a perfume from time to time, it would be like, I don't know, Coco Mademoiselle. And also I want to mention that there's a couple of very unique perfumes in the fragrance community that are popular that I have never ever smelled around me. One that comes to the top of my head would be Itsmarii Sunshine Woman. I've never ever smelled that in my life, and that is a pretty popular one amongst the fragrance community. Does it take away from the uniqueness of the fragrance? No, it doesn't. So I don't think that popularity and uniqueness are correlated. So with that being said, let's start off with what you came here for. So I'm gonna start off with a banger, because why not? And this is Poison EDT from Christian Dior, and this is actually my scent of the day. I don't have a full bottle. I order a travel spray because I'm trying to be a little bit more responsible with blind buying and whatnot, because it got out of control. Like, it's ridiculous at this point. So I want to only add stuff that I truly love and will wear in my collection. And to me, this is a very the opening is actually pretty masculine, I want to say. It smells a little like, I might be pushing it, but it smells a little bit barbershop-ish. As you can see the color, I don't know if that's giving me some sort of idea or I'm being biased by the color. A container that contains this color juice at every barbershop, that's where they sterilize their utensils, tools, whatever. It gives me that kind of scent. So it opens up very powerful and harsh and very representative, I feel, of the 80s. I wasn't born in the 80s. I'm quite young, I'm sure you guys can see and tell, but I have Netflix, so it's not that hard to know what the 80s were like. So basically it gives me that big hair, shoulder pads look, bold makeup, very dark and dominant and in your face and obnoxious. When I wear this, I feel like a villain. Yeah, it gives me villain vibes. I don't even think that it matches the color shirt that I'm wearing today, but it's a mean perfume. I feel like being mean today, but overall I feel like the feel, the vibe of it, at least when you put it on, it comes off pretty cold, I would say. It has a cold attitude. It has an off-putting attitude, kind of like, don't talk to me, don't look at me, don't breathe around me, don't be around me. That masculine barbershop-ish quality, like I said, kind of just settles down and it becomes more of a heady, rich tuberose with this sweet, incensey, resinous, dark plum. Very unique, very different, something that I have never smelled before. And when I smelled it for the first time, I was like, wow, like it took me by surprise. But to my surprise, it wasn't a fragrance that I want to say that it's the opening that it's harsh, but it's not a fragrance that I feel like I genuinely had to work with a lot. Once it got to the dry down, I really enjoyed the dry down. Right, so another standoffish fragrance. Are all of these standoffish? No, there's some. I have different moods. I'm bipolar. So this is Versace or Versace Crystal Noir tomatoes, potatoes. This is the EDT. It's not a coconut fragrance. It's more of like the essence of coconut, or like that coconut water. I have had artificial, like canned Publix coconut water, and that one is really sweet. But real coconut water, depending on the season when you cut the coconut is green, the water is not sweet at all. This one reminds me of, should I spray it? This is gonna clash with that perfume that I'm wearing. Yeah, I feel like it's that fresh, spicy, dark, salty, musky quality that makes it unique. It's not a fragrance that, once again, you're going to smell all the time, and it actually reminds me of Fort Lauderdale nightlife. So as I've said before, it reminds me of the beach at night. It has this salty, like musky quality. If you've ever been to the beach at night, the air around the beach with the waves clashing and all that, it gives off this, it has this salty air quality. Your skin kind of gives it off as well, especially if you've been like at the beach all day and then you're still at the beach at night. And it's a pretty gardenia dominated fragrance, I feel. Kind of also reminds me of this gardenia candle that I have from Bath and Body Works. But yeah, I just find it unique, and I find it pretty exotic, I feel. As it's dark and fresh and spicy at the same time. It's a little bit of everything, girl. It's a little bit of everything. All right, moving on to another gardenia fragrance, staying in that same realm, would be Hypnose from Lancome. I just want to say that I love this bottle, but I hate the color of it. It never made me want it. I felt like it was going to be a cold fragrance. I prefer warm fragrances over cold fragrances. I do like cold fragrances, obviously. I don't want too many of them, you know what I mean? It's not always I want to feel like a villain, like it's just not always. This one I find more elegant, more sophisticated, more mature. I don't think that everyone would enjoy this fragrance. I feel like you have to enjoy like more mature, and honestly I don't find anything wrong with calling something like an older lady scent, because if we call stuff juvenile, and there's nothing wrong with that, I feel like it's hypocritical to call something juvenile and like smelling like a little teenage girl, and then being offended by calling something older smelling or more mature smelling or old lady scents. That's a category in itself, and there's nothing wrong with that. I enjoy older lady scents. Anywho, this one is just more sophisticated, more classy, prominent on the gardenia. What I also find unique about this fragrance, I actually got it because of Miss Amber Chantel, and I think she finds it sweet, and I know that Becky got it as well, and she also finds it sweet. So on her skin, it goes, I think she said sugar cookies or something like that. On me it doesn't. On me it's a floral perfume, and it also has this bitter quality to it. The bitter quality that it has, it was almost like nail polish ish. But that's what I like about it the most now. Another off-putting, don't talk to me, don't look at me type of scent. There's also, I don't know, there's something, like I said, off-putting. It's dry. It's that's the word. It's dry. There's something dry about it. Very rigid, shoulders back, chest forward, straight back kind of feel to it, and a little bit stubborn. Yeah, if a fragrance could be stubborn, I feel like it would be this one. It's making me laugh a little bit because as I said, I have different personalities, and this would be my type A personality. That side of me, that's my personality. By the way, this is not my fragrance. I'm spraying it like it's mine, but this is how it looks when the vanilla turns. The fragrance, it's still fine. Fragrances that have vanilla do that, but this is how it looks. This is my cousin's bottle. I bought it for her. She'll be fine, it's okay. Like, I bought it, I could spray it. This is how the bottle actually looks. This one is mine. I feel like the color is pretty representative of how it comes off, like cold, standoffish, bitter. Bitter. All right, a fragrance that I don't think I've talked too much about here on YouTube, but I talk to my friends about it all the time because I'm literally obsessed with this fragrance. And it's great because this is definitely one that I've never smelled before, and it's very like, okay, let me show it to you guys. So this is the Michael Kors Twilight Shimmer. So I've only shown it once, like I said, and if you are trying to get into ouds, I feel like this is the safest. I have Shagaf Oud, and I feel like that's one it's safe, but it's not too safe. It can be off-putting. I feel like most people, if you're transitioning over or whatever, this one has sweetness. Xoxo Oud has this nutty, I think, essence of sweetness, but it's not the typical sweetness that you imagine it to be. Yeah, it's more powdery. It has that rose, the saffron in there. It's a little bit more, I find, oriental. This one is more sweet. It has this, oh my god, I kind of want to spray it, but would it, I don't think it would clash. I actually don't think it, yeah, it wouldn't clash. This one has plum as well, so I don't think it would clash. It actually intensifies it, I feel. I'll keep you guys updated to see how this turns out. I think this one is categorized as an Oriental Vanilla, but honestly, I don't even know if this is a category. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if it's not, I'm making it up, but whatever. But this is what I consider it to be. To me, this is a fruity Oriental gourmand. I think that it leans pretty gourmandish. I find this edible, actually. It's a fruity, woody oud. This to me was actually love at first sniff. The second that I smelled this, I was like, first of all, wow, I've never smelled anything like this. And second of all, wow, this is a very digestible oud. I'm not experienced in the world of oud, and I'm not going to act like I am experienced, which is why I said that this is pretty likable. It's not a full-on gourmand. There is this like Oriental extra depth to it. There's this richness to it, but it does have gourmand qualities, and it's just a scent that I've never smelled before, so I find it unique. I think it's pretty underrated. I don't hear, this is one of the ones that I don't hear too much talk about. I don't even remember how I discovered it, honestly. I find it to be also pretty intoxicating, pretty addictive, and it's not like sugary sweet. The sweetness in here, you get it from the plum. Just imagine like a fat, ripe plum that is borderline almost rotting in a way. I know that sounds so delicious, but that ripeness of the plum gives it a slight booziness. I'm surprised actually that the price is not like, I don't know, ×3 under some random French niche perfume house. So that is Twilight Shimmer from Michael Kors. It's a Twilight Shimmer. There's so many. I call this one the purple Michael Kors because I lose track. Yeah, Twilight Shimmer. All right, moving on to one of my absolute favorite ones. I discussed this one a lot during the summer, I feel, and this one is Paradiso Assoluto from Roberto Cavalli. And whew, this is one that if you watch my first impressions, I'll link in that below, but this is one that I was like, this is strong and floral on top of floral, and that's not my vibe. At least it wasn't, or at least I thought it wasn't. But I layered this one with Casablanca. I loved it, and then I was like, you know what, I'm not trying to keep perfumes that I only use if I layer them, so I used it on its own, and bomb. It was so good. It was so rich. It was so delicious. It was this buttery, creamy white floral. That's the first time that I feel like I experienced a real realistic creamy white floral. It was so good, and this is one that garnished me a lot of compliments if you care about that stuff. But I want to say the initial spray, I'm used to it at this point and it doesn't bother me anymore, but I want to say that the initial spray is what's very off-putting. It's very different. It's like vitamin-ish, mineral-ish, I don't know, but it's like a combination of florals with some sweetness, but it's also citrusy, and it's also spicy. I think there's like pink pepper in here, so it's a little bit of everything. So it's like, what, like what am I smelling? Especially if you have a Gema di Paradiso, which I find more easy to digest, and you're comparing the two, you're going to be so disappointed, which I was. And as I wore it and wore it and wore it, I pick up the vanilla more in here than I do in Gema. It is, wow, it's hard to digest. I feel it in the beginning. It's different, it's very unique, and I can guarantee you have never smelled anyone that smells like this. I can guarantee you it's a different scent, and that opening is, it's unique. There's this pink pepper throughout the whole way. It's just harsh in the beginning, I feel, but it's a creamy, buttery white floral. I can guarantee you've never smelled this before on anyone. Not everything is just going to be love at first sniff, and that's cool. I actually have 2 now because one of you guys, my subby friends, her name is Deanna, she sent me a bunch of goodies. Oh my god, no one has ever done that. And I was shocked. And I bought Alien Essence Absolute from her, and she sent me like a bunch of palettes, like makeup palettes and stuff, and she sent me one of these because she knows that I like it. And it was so sweet of her, so thank you so much, Deanna. Like, it made my day. So this, as I've described it in the past, it's a unique one, and it's one that I don't crave all the time, except as of recently because I layer it with Libre now, or Libre. And go check out that video that I talk about. I'm not going to talk about it in this video, but it's a delicious, amazing combo. But yeah, overall this one is a dusty, peachy, crumbly pie. Did I say dusty already? Because it does have that dusty quality. It just smells like how it looks, very vintage smelling. It's one that it's definitely not a safe blind buy because of that antique quality that it has. You might get put off by it, and I feel like it also transitions. So let's see. Yeah, it starts off fresh. It has some spiciness to it, like a peachy spicy, but as it settles down on the skin, it becomes more smooth, more cozy, more warm. I feel like the opening is pretty cold. It reminds me also like a tart, like a resinous sort of tart. I feel like it's pretty representative of the 90s, like a sweet 90s perfume. If I were to scent someone with this, would be like the moms in the sitcom TV shows. That's what I would assume that they smell like. It's very motherly. All right, another fragrance. This one is pretty unique because it's definitely not what I would assume would be stuff that I'm into, and it's still not stuff that I'm into. It's a very powdery scent. I don't care for powdery scents unless it's like tonka bean powder. I like that. I don't care for like baby powdery scents, but this is one that I was intrigued, as I'm sure most of you on here were intrigued by Gabriela Francesca's description. She said fairy dust or something like that, and I was like, what the hell is that? And it was pretty affordable, so I got it. I get the vibe, I get the imagery. But overall, the scent itself is very unique. I think this is a fragrance that maybe if you want to, like, I don't know, broaden your palette, I guess, or you want to have at least one powdery scent, I think this is the one because it has that sweetness. It opens up fresh, fresh, and just hit my arm. My nail's about to come off doing this damn video. But it comes off fresh in the opening and sweet and juicy. I think there's like red berries in here, so that sugar candy quality is definitely there. As it settles down into the skin, it becomes more powdery, but that sweetness still remains. There's this specific oil that we use in my countries for babies. Once you take them a bath, you add some oil or powder sometimes, and it's a violet oil, and you apply it basically on their neck, and they smell so clean and fresh. But it also reminds me of like a mature, older, sophisticated woman. This is another type A personality scent, if you know what I mean by that. And it's a great signature scent as well, I find it to be. If I were to scent someone, it would also be like a librarian. All right, moving on to one that we've gone on a roller coaster with this perfume, and this is Serge Lutens Un Bois Vanille. This is one that I remember being taken back when I got it. I was like, this is not the vanilla that I was looking for. I've been on the hunt for vanillas for quite a while, ever since I got into perfumes, I guess you could say, which was not too long ago, so it's not that quite of a while, was it, huh? When I got this, I was like, oh, no way. Then I ended up really enjoying it. I just enjoyed the dry down more than the opening. I was never a fan of the opening. And then I was like, no, I was like, you're not really doing anything in my collection. I'm gonna sell you, blah, 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 blah. And then I got a cheaper alternative, and I was like, they dry down pretty much the same, close to identical. I don't need this in my collection. I was going to declutter it the other day, and the opening, it was different for me. It still smelled the same from what I remember. It's just now I really enjoy the opening of this fragrance. and that's the reason I decided to keep it. And even though it dries down pretty much the same as my Laura Mercier Eau Gourmand Ambre Vanille, I've said this in the past, if this one is too expensive for you, go for this. They dry down so similar, it's ridiculous. They have slight differences, but they dry down very similar. It's just the opening, I feel, on both of them is different. This is like $12 at your local TJ Maxx. So I'm not gonna spray it because not gonna spray it. This is more of a bougie luxury vanilla for me. It's a spicy, woody, waxy, coconutty vanilla. That's the best way that I can describe it. It's very unique. I find it to be pretty unique, but not too complex, if that makes sense. It's very comforting. It's super good, and it's one that it's taken me a while to enjoy. But the vanilla in here, I find it to be not it's not like a perfumey synthetic vanilla. It smells pretty organic, I feel. Same with Laura Mercier. I find these two vanillas to be like a bougie luxury type of vanillas, honestly. It's just one of those artistic fragrances. I've actually gotten compliments on this one, surprisingly. Ironically though, it was when I went in for a hug, because it's a scent that I feel lasts a long time but doesn't project as much. It's very close to the skin, close encounter skin scent, but it's a pleasant scent that I notice people enjoy, at least when you go for a hug. Nothing more, nothing less. Like I said, if you can't afford this, go for this. Or if you want to try this and you can't find sample or decant, whatever, try to find this one. If you like this one, I'm sure you're going to like this one. The difference is this one opens up more fresh. It has this fresh quality. That's a sorry ass spray. What the hell? I swear that it was more but whatever. It just has a, there's so many perfumes going on, it's like hard for me to smell this one. Okay, it just has a fresh quality, whereas this one has this more woody, a little spicy, I would say. No, not a little, it's spicy and has a waxy quality. I would say also that this one is more milky. This is like a coconut almond milk, and this one is more creamy. This one goes the creamy route and smooth route, and this one goes the more milky route. And I would say that this one has that added woody quality that I also enjoy. There's another one that I actually want from this line. It's the one that smells like bread apparently, but not like a bakery or like cookies or stuff like that. It just smells like literal bread. Why do I want to smell like a whole loaf of bread? I don't know. I get into these moods where I want to smell like a loaf of bread, so I want a loaf of bread. I think it's called Je de peu. Je de peu? I don't speak French. Je ne parle pas français. I actually took 3 years of French, believe it or not. I can read it more than I can speak it, and I can understand it. Where I used to work, there were a lot of Russians and there were a lot of French people, and sometimes they would like say stuff like that, and I'll be like, and they'll be like, oh, and I'll be like, oh, yes, I understood what you said. I couldn't do this video without Alien. It's a popular perfume amongst, I feel, the fragrance community or fragrance lovers, but it's not a perfume that I can tell you that I've ever smelled on anyone but me, at least where I live. It's a perfume that I feel like the composition alone is pretty unique enough to distinguish it, because I did go to an open house, and it was like a bougie open house, and the lady, she was one of those very like hipster, artistic, bougie ladies, and she was like, you're wearing Alien, huh? I was like, yeah, I was. So it's a very distinctive scent profile that I feel like if you know, you know, and you can definitely pick it up from the crowd. But I'm sure you guys are familiar with this one. This is jasmine, woods, and amber. The jasmine in here, I find it to be a very dry, woody jasmine, and I love it. It's a very sensual scent, very mysterious, provocative. I think that the bottle represents the scent quite well. It's sultry, it's sophisticated, but still fun and adventurous. It's an attention grabber, it's an attention seeker. It's one of my top perfumes, top 2 perfumes. It's one of my favorite ones, and I pretty much have all the flankers. Well, the ones that are accessible to me. I'm trying to get the oud one next. But yeah, I love this perfume. One of my favorite perfumes. I'm sure you guys are familiar with it, so I'm not going to go too deep into it. But if you know, you know. All right, now moving on to the next two. I don't want to say they're my favorites, but they're my favorites for specific occasions. I gave you guys a teaser, huh? And it's two that I left for the end because they just put me in a specific environment and a location. So there's this wine bar. It's very like chic, New Orleans style, very hipster, in the Miami Design District. And well, by that you can tell that it's one of those like very artistic places, but I love the place. But overall, the experience I feel of the location is very nice. If you ever come down to Miami, I highly recommend the place. It's very chill. They have like live music there. It's all outdoors. They also have like an indoor section, but mostly people are outdoors. They have like an assortment of different couches and chairs, and everything looks super antique. The whole concept itself is pretty nice, and like you get like a cheese platter with like an assortment of crackers and cheeses and meats, the fig jam. It's delicious. The whole mood and environment and setting, it's beautiful. So I decided to go for MAC Velvet Teddy and By the Fireplace. MAC Velvet Teddy is, I feel, a love or hate. This to me is a straight up just tobacco and honey scent. The opening I feel is the most harsh. It opens up pretty spicy, but the dry down, as it dries down, it gets sweeter and sweeter, and it's raw honey, this dry tobacco. What this reminds me of, Anna recently did a first impression on here. I'll link her video down below. She said it reminds her of like Swishers, and that's what it reminds me of. But well, it reminds me of the vanilla bourbon backwoods. It's really nice. I don't think it's for everyone, as I've said before. I don't think that especially for women, I don't think that most women would enjoy this. If you're not into this type of stuff, it's an artistic scent. I also find it to be, and I find it to be more masculine for sure, but on me it smells pretty good. I feel like my skin pulls off the honey the most, and this is one that has gotten me compliments, and usually from like older men. I always find that interesting, especially when it's a scent that's mostly more masculine, I feel. So yeah, I love it though. I love it. This is one that stays on the clothes forever, and I love that it doesn't project too much, because I feel like this would be really obnoxious and kind of weird if it just projects too much. But it's one that sits close to my sweaters, because that's when I wear it in the like winter that we have here in Miami. But when it's appropriate for me to wear my turtlenecks and my oversized sweaters and stuff like that, I love to spray this on that. And I already know it's probably going to get brought up anyways, so just to throw it out there, do I consider it a dupe for Tom Ford Tobacco Vanille? Yes, I do. I consider it a dupe, not a clone. The word dupe and clone are not equal. They don't mean the same. They're not interchangeable. A dupe is a cheaper alternative to something that is more expensive. Cologne is a full-on clone of something. There are clone houses, Dua, Fragranza, Belayered, Alexandria, that do full-on clones of fragrances, popular fragrances. MAC did not come up with MAC Velvet Teddy to say this is a clone of Tom Ford Tobacco Vanille. So yeah, does it smell identical to Tom Ford Tobacco Vanille? No, it doesn't. Is it a dupe? Yes, it is. Why? Because to me, a dupe does not mean a clone. MAC just brought out a smoky fragrance, and people smelled it, and to them it smelled similar to Tobacco Vanille. Why did it smell similar? It's because it has similarities, the same way that it has differences. And this one has honey, so this one is more honey rounded, and that one is more vanilla rounded. If you're looking for a smoky tobacco scent, and you can't afford Tom Ford, you know, now if you want Tom Ford and you have smelled it before and you can't afford it, then get a decant. I think that it's a safe blind buy if you go into it thinking or knowing what a dupe is. If you go into it thinking that it's going to be a full-on replica, you're going to be highly disappointed, because it was never marketed to be a clone. If you want a clone, there are multiple clone houses that make clones of fragrances. But yeah, overall, it's a great scent for me personally. I don't think many women would enjoy it. I don't think many women could pull it off. All right, the next one that I have, I would say it's more sweeter. It's sweeter. It's By the Fireplace from Replica. This is one that was super off-putting for me when I first smelled it. I walked into Sephora looking for some perfumes. The girl said, "You look like By The Fireplace, girl." I said, "I don't know what that is." She gave me a little sample. I smelled it. I was like, I don't want to smell like burning wood. Point is, I fell in love with it later on. And this to me now, that burning wood, yeah, I smelled it in the beginning, but now to me, from the very beginning to the dry down, it's just sweet. It's delicious. Oh my god. This one is a different type of sweet. This one has a dryness quality to it. This one is more warm, more cozy. This actually reminds me of a candle. It reminds me of what's that candle called? It's a Bath and Body Works candle. Marshmallow Fireside. That's the one that it reminds me of. If you've never smelled it before, it's like your first time smelling it, or you don't smell it as often, oh my god, it's so good. This is my favorite from the line. The opening can be like realistic burning wood. I feel like it's dirty because of all this perfume. All right, now it looks more clean. All right, what was I talking about? By The Fireplace. All right. So this is my favorite one from the whole line. As it dries down though, it's sweeter and sweeter, and it's really nice. It's smoky, it's woody, it's vanillic, and it reminds me, like I said, of a woodier, smokier version of that candle from Bath and Body Works, Marshmallow Fireside. This is one that, as I said before, I got the Alexandria one. Well, it wasn't mine, it was my friend's, and I said that I wouldn't need this one, but I found this one for a great deal, so I obviously bought it. But this is one also because I have worn the clone from Alexandria, clones, okay, and I loved it. I loved it in the winter time. It lasted a long time. So if this is a scent that you can't afford, go for clones. I find no problem with clone houses. Do your math, because not all of them are really a good deal, especially when it comes to designer ends. But if it's niche or more like private blends, I think you get a pretty good deal, so look into those. Right, so that's pretty much it. I'm pretty sure, did I go through all of them? Yeah, I went through all of them. I feel like I talked way too much in this video, so that's pretty much it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed my choices, and with that being said, follow me on Instagram if you guys want to keep up with me. I'm a lot more active there than I am here. Also, if you have not subscribed already and you keep coming back, what are you doing? Subscribe already, help me out. And as always, I hope you guys have a beautiful and wonderful and blessed day, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. Bye guys.